Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Future Forward Sales Podcast. I'm your host, Lynn, and today I am joined by our wonderful guest, Coach A.M. Williams. And today we're going to be talking about why leverage is your superpower to explode your business. And I have to tell you about Coach A.M. because he is such an amazing guy. He is a breakthrough performance strategist who works with businesses just like yours every day, helping them achieve heights that they never saw possible. And how does he do that? Well, most don't understand the power of leverage, networking, partnerships, working within their businesses, which is why Coach AM and his team have been able to achieve 3 times results in as little as 4 to 6 weeks working with people just like you. For over a decade now, Coach AM has shown entrepreneurs how to double, triple, and even quadruple their income and productivity by helping them wake up the sleepy parts of their business and use the power of leverage to create more of the business and life they truly want. Coach AM, I am so excited to have you here today. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hey, Lynn, it's a pleasure. It's an honor. It's been like Christmas Eve. I've been waiting to get on this show with you. So excited to be here.
Well, we're going to have a lot of fun today. And I want to welcome everyone who's joining us, of course. And for anyone who is here for the very first time and tuning in, hey, if you like what you're doing, take this moment right now to subscribe to Future Forward Sales wherever you get your podcast. And if you love what we're doing in the episodes, please take that extra moment and click all 5 stars for your review. We would very much appreciate it. Okay, so Coach, let's get right into this. And I've given some background about you, but let's get into more of who you are and what your company does.
So, um, I first of all, I appreciate that intro. I don't even know how to follow that up, but I will simply say that for me, I I'm a guy. I obviously I have a condition of incomplete paraplegia. I have to spend a lot of time in a therapy bed due to some things that happened back in the year of 2000, which I know we'll get a chance to talk about it. However, I built my business from a hospital bed inside the hospital.
My
No
goodness.
joke. Like I literally was doing business, and the doctors would tell the nurses to put up a sign on my door saying, "Please do not disturb. He's recording." So like is truly amazing about how that happened. But I honestly believe that my life is just symbolic and representative of the fact that once you understand the truth about who you are
Yes.
and what you truly have the power to do, you can break your impossible. And that's what I've been able to do.
Wow. Wow. That is amazing. And I have to tell everyone who's listening and who's tuning in to watch that Coach AM has been inspirational. And I've had the honor and privilege to get to know him over the last several months. And it is really such an inspiring story. And the truth is right here in front of you. And so you've already talked about some of the biggest challenges you've had to face. What about your clients? What are some of the biggest challenges that they face?
Wow. So, man, where do we begin as far as that is concerned? The type of clients that I typically deal with are those who literally they're fresh across the $1 million mark. Challenge is they don't know what they did to get there. They don't have a clue on what they did to get there. And so they're looking to grow it. And because they don't understand what they did to get there, they don't know how to be able to move the business forward. And so they're in this unique position where they feel functionally trapped in the business because they're making too much money to go back to employment, but they can't sell the business either.
Yeah.
And so everything that they, because of the things that, because they don't understand it, they literally find themselves trying to hold on to the success that they currently have and thinking that what, now that I've gotten here, I got to do everything I can to protect this and hold it down. They've made about 10 to 12 million dollars, and all of a sudden Here comes the mansion. Here comes the 6 cars. Here comes the 8 cars. And they just stop like Lynn, the best way I can say it is that they lose their appetite for risk.
Hmm.
They stop, when they were trying to get to that $1 million mark, they pushed all their chips to the center of the table.
Right.
But now they changed the game. It's no longer about playing to win, it's about playing not to lose. Now it's all about protecting these showcase assets. Now it's all about protecting what I built. And they're playing an entirely different game that they have no idea how risky it really is.
Right. Right. Yeah, I absolutely I can see that. I can see the vision that you created and that outcome. And why do you think that this is more urgent than ever that people are running into this, they're making this pivot to this totally different mindset?
Well, I can say this. It's really, I think the big thing of it is in many cases is what's called, there's two things in business. People either subscribe to the fear of loss or the hope of gain.
Right.
And when you're trying to build a business, you're trying to build it, you're trying to create comfort. The challenge with that is once you've gotten this stuff, once you built and gotten past that $1 million mark, you're making more money than you ever did ever in your life. Chances are you haven't even built a strong team. Everybody that's on your team are people that you know, your cousins, your aunt that used to work at that company, your uncle who used to do that, your brother. And of course, you're going to have to get your mom or somebody in there. Somebody's got to get paid, right? And as you're expanding the business, it comes more about growth. And if you're really going to expand it, you're going to have to get people in place that have that capacity to be able to do it. Well, that presents an entirely different challenge because in many cases, these are people that you didn't grow up with. These are
Yeah.
people that you didn't know. And now I got to replace the people that I had in the business. I got to take off my parent hat and I got to be the CEO. And now I got to structure the business differently to do it that way. And some people, they just never get to that place. It's like, why risk that type of exposure? Why expose myself to people who really, I don't believe, have my best interest at heart? They have their own interest. Okay. And so what it means to me is not what it means to them. And rather than learning how to show
Yeah.
people how the achievement of their vision can be directly connected to the vision of the company. No, they would just rather stay where they are, try to maintain what they've gained, and they just say, you know what, I just forfeit everything else. I would just rather I built it big enough, and so now the problem becomes I'm too comfortable in the business. I'm entirely too comfortable, and that's a major challenge.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. I think that a few things really struck a chord. Well, first of all, full disclosure, two of my nieces, well, my only two nieces work for me. They're both amazing. But I have to say that, get that out there. But I think that one of the key points there is when you build a viable business, it means that you have to remove the founder magic from the equation so that the business can have the longevity and the continuity to carry on with a new owner. And so the structure that you create for that business, and that's what in a maybe I'm wrong, but that's sort of what some of the things I was picking up on what you were talking about there.
Yeah, they're literally they're married to it,
Yeah.
you know, and that's a very strong commitment. It's kind of like showing up on the second date with a bag of grocery. That's not the kind of relationship you want with the business. And you can tell it by the things that they do. I mean, they give it 18 hours a day, right? They feel like they got to do everything to accomplish anything. They let nobody, they don't trust anybody doing anything. All they trust is therefore no more. And as you said, that founder magic. You know what? I'm great, especially those who can sell. Oh my God, we're the worst, right? Those of us who can sell, Oh man, because we don't want to hire anybody that can do something better than we can.
Oh, no, no,
And
wait a
so,
minute here. Don't include me in that. Wait a minute here. I
hey,
definitely
listen,
want to hire experts.
I was
I
literally
would love
talking
to be
about
able
me
to.
and the people that I serve. I was talking about us, but we don't like doing things. We don't like giving up that kind of thing because we see that as a form of weakness. We see that as a form of weakness. Like we don't want to give that up about it. And you know what? This is the thing that made me great. And so now the success of my company is tied to my significance. And so because this is my significance, if I give it up, then who am I
Right.
without yesterday's success? And so they never disengage the business the way they should in order for the business to grow. It's like they want to keep it on tricycles all their life. You know that parent that never wants the kid to leave home.
Yeah, yeah, the
You
helicopter
know,
parent. Well, this really definitely talks about, a challenge that your clients are facing, and it obviously sounds like it is costing them their ultimate goal in the sense of, they're not able to create a viable business, and a business that they can actually take a vacation from, and have some other things in their life. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
no, actually, it's the truth. And sadly enough, it is the truth. Pardon me. Um, for many cases, these business owners can't walk away from their business 30 minutes, much less 30 days, without fear of how will it succeed without me. Um, and it's a sad commentary to be in a place where you've gotten to the place because I don't know what to expect going forward. I fear the dark path of change, and the pain of change is more significant than the pain of being where I am. And so we both know that whenever growth stops, deterioration, decline, death sets in. So the whole notion of stagnation, you're assuming a risk, but it doesn't feel like a risk. So therefore, they can't really tell it.
Yeah,
And when
yeah.
we
Well,
resist growth, we're being stagnant.
yeah. No,
Really can't
complacency
tell
is
what's
a
going.
disease. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm really curious. So, after this discussion, what are the hidden critical success factors that you deliver that helps people break out of that mold, get out of that mindset, and embrace the change and growth?
So I'm a pupil of Jay Abraham, and Jay Abraham says successful people think and act differently. So the one thing I share with these individuals is that if you're really focused on moving forward, then you got to reframe the way you see growth. It's got to happen here. Tony Robbins said what 90+% of what's going on is the limitation of the business is the psychology of the entrepreneur. We really have to reframe the way we see growth, and growth has to become the necessity. It has to be the thing that we must do, especially if we want to sustain. Then I begin to share with them how we keep up with the speed of business. It's amazing. With inflation on the rise, if
Yes.
we put $1,000 into a low yield investment, something that's performing below inflation, we lose.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Innovation is a lot like inflation. Innovation is the speed of business. 10x is the speed of business today. Incremental improvement is no longer acceptable. Nobody's wanting to spend 40 years to make $1 million.
Yeah.
Nobody wants, they're not buying houses 40 years. I mean, anything that takes that long to do anything, you can forget it. Nobody is interested in doing that. Innovation has increased our desire to do things faster and to go further. And so, because of that, When we don't pick a growth model that can perform at the speed of business, which is innovation, we start losing. We're losing. That's why we can't afford to be stagnant. So I tell people your ultimate leverage is growth. Your ultimate leverage is growth. As long as you commit to growth, exponential growth, as long as you commit to exponential growth, you not only can maintain the speed of business, the speed of innovation, but you have the ability to stay above it, to not put yourself at the borderline, but literally perform above it. And it will get you where you want to go further and faster. So levers are huge for a business. And the biggest one is just growth. If
Yeah.
you subscribe to growth, you gain the leverage needed to grow the business, grow yourself. That's why I always say grow big, grow boss, which actually means blast off strategically and systemically. So that's why I help these guys achieve boss level growth. But it's you got to have a desire to grow. If you don't have a desire to grow, you're going to grow stagnant, and that could end up being the plot of your demise. So the tools that I give them are levers. I will add this, Lynn. Um, our committees. He said once, "If give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum on which to place it, and I shall move the world."
Yes.
In many cases, businesses don't have levers long enough. The marketing is not a long enough lever. Sales not a long enough lever. The business structure is not a long enough lever. The messaging is too complicated. The lever's not long enough. What I do is I give them long enough levers to put on that fulcrum so that they can literally shift their into not only the business but the entire sphere of influence.
All right. Well, I mean, I love it that you referenced the Greek mathematician. That's fantastic. And I'm curious because what we're talking about here and this mindset. I mean, why is this typically a blind spot with the clients that you work with? Why do you see that?
Well, because in most cases, like I said, stagnation is a huge risk, but it didn't feel like a risk. So they're completely desensitized to what they're doing. They're getting
Okay.
in their own way and don't even realize it.
Yeah.
That's why having a coach or a mentor is so important because these individuals can explore the multiple dimensions within inside of you and they can see things about you that you can't. We operate so many times in a blind spot, getting in our own way, and that within itself demonstrates that we are growth resistant. It's in our ability to change our role from sales superstar to leader of the organizations. And it all comes back to what Peter Drucker spent his life talking about: management. And it's not so much about you having to do everything as much as it is your ability to manage both your resources and your resourcefulness. It's just for many people, resources all come back to money. And money is a resource. But you know what? Your talent is a resource.
Oh yeah,
Your
absolutely.
intellectual, your capital is a resource. Your intellectual capital is a resource. Human capital, a resource. Power partners, they're a resource. How well do you manage your resources and your resourcefulness? If you do that well, it will make you what I call a great leverage leader.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love what you're talking about. And it just was ringing a lot of bells in my head about how you can just, as you said, just sort of start looking at things and thinking about them differently and start to use the leverage. For our audience right now, what's one essential action that they can take to overcome this challenge of complacency and that comfort and blind spot? What could they do today?
Well, one of the things is that you have to. You have to be able to take a hard look inside it. Here's another quote. Leland Vanderwall once said, "A man's growth is directly proportional to how much truth he can confront about himself without running away from it." Wow. Our growth is directly to how much truth we can confront about ourselves without running away from it. Our ability to take a hard look at where we currently are, to turn inward, to get the courage to turn inward, to look and say, maybe it's not the programs, maybe it's my programming. Let me reconsider for a moment that maybe it's not the problem. Maybe money's not my problem. Maybe marketing's really not my problem. Maybe the way I'm thinking about marketing is my problem. Maybe the way I'm thinking about money is my problem. And that changes the dynamic. And for many of us, we don't want to do that because we don't ever want it to be our fault. It gives us comfort for us to make it somebody else's fault, because when we make it somebody else's fault, we stay stuck in our story.
Yeah.
When we take a look at us, now we're confronting, wow, maybe the way I'm thinking about this thing is what's jacked up. Maybe the way I'm thinking about, I'm so imprisoned by yesterday's success that I really can't think future forward. I'm so imprisoned by what I did, who I was yesterday, good or bad. I'm so imprisoned by it that I cannot be future forward. I cannot move this business forward. I cannot do the things that position me to enjoy the journey better.
Yeah.
I'm keeping everything is upstream. It's got to be hard. It has to be hard, Lynn. It has to be hard because we was always told you got to work hard. Hard work. It's always hard. It's got to be hard. And so we wear hard work like a badge of honor. It's like it's a badge of honor. And all we're doing is just the business is slowly taking more away from us than it's adding to us. It's the saddest commentary, but again, until we stop looking externally and start thinking, you know what? Maybe my biggest enemy is my inner me.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think that it reminds me of something I say that, sometimes we all have the power to choose, but sometimes it's not easy to see that we do have a choice. And in what you're this scenario that you've created is that they do have the ability to make a new choice, to look at something outside of themselves or look outside of their current paradigm, to reject that complacency and and explore how they can do something differently. So, thank you so much, AM. Thank you so much for sharing
My
why
pleasure.
leverage is your superpower to explode your business. Wow, this has just been such a powerful conversation. I know that our listeners are going to go want to know more about you and where they can find out more about you.
So, Lynn, I tell people when I do podcasts that you can join me on social media. We have great fireside chats on social media. But my objective, honestly, is not to get you by the fire. I don't want you to sit by the fire. I want to set you on fire. So if you really want to get to know me, then experience what I do. Go to www.aybsworkshop.com. AYBS stands for Address Your BS. Not only are you going to learn more about me, you're going to learn a lot more about yourself, a lot more about yourself and what's truly holding you back, making you feel stuck in the business, and going to learn what you need to break through those barriers, dispel the illusion of limitations, and step into a realm where you are free to explore your unlimited potential and exceed your wildest expectations. I can take you from bound to boss in just 3 days, and not 3 full days, just three 90-minute sessions in 3 days. I can take you from bound to boss.
That's amazing. All right, absolutely. We'll make sure that that link is right below so that you are one click away from this incredible workshop. And I want to thank everyone who tuned in today. This has been such an incredible discussion. And if you would have, or if you have ideas that you would like to share, I'm just so like blown away by the discussion. I can't even talk right, right? Go ahead and leave us a comment down below. We do love hearing your thoughts. If you have a question or would like to suggest a topic for a discussion, you can email us at join the conversation at petite2queen.com. And to stay current on all of our insightful advice, our breakthrough advantage, these incredible shows like we just did today on Future Forward Sales with Coach AM, you can sign up for our weekly wisdoms newsletter at petite2queen.com. I want to thank everyone who tuned in and who is part of our tribe. And Coach AM, thank you so much. Thank you so much for these incredible, incredible insights that you gave us today.
Oh, it's been a pleasure, Lynn. You know what? I hope that what we heard today. The guests love it, and they asked me to come again. I'd love to be back. I love.
Absolutely. We'll definitely have to do this again. I am looking forward to it. So thank you so much. We'll see you everyone later.